Hey there guys, I am SonicGhost and welcome back to some more Let's Play Splatoon. Last time, we made our way through the World 4 levels here via the Inkling Boy Amiibo challenges. We only have one more world left, so let's go ahead, tap in our Inkling Boy Amiibo, and finish up these set of challenges. Heyo! What's crackin', playa? Not much, just wanting to finish up our final set of challenges here in World 5, starting out with level 22, Splat Switch Revolution, a change of scenery. Splat Switch Revolution, also known as just hit the big square. There you go, easy. Although doing that makes it a little bit hard for me to hit this enemy up top. Not impossible, just a little harder. Also climbing the blocks, a little bit hard to do in this as well. The biggest problem we're having here is that I'm missing the vertical flick in some cases because that range, man, that really helps. For instance, in later Splatoon games, you don't want to use the said vertical flick, as horizontal flicks will just do more damage in some cases and be a lot more accurate, and also not take nearly as long, but in cases like with the single player, having that range right now would be nice. And unfortunately, I don't really have it, so gotta make do. We do have an Inkzooka on standby if we do need that extra range, so I'll be hopefully not needing it. If we do though, it's ready to go. So keep that in mind. We can paint this square from here, and sure enough, able to do just that. Seeing all these platforms move around, and now from here, I don't even need to actually ink one of the set squares. We can just move on from here, which is really convenient. There's some stuff in the back, including where the sunken scroll would have been, but it doesn't matter when we have 9999 eggs, so I'm just gonna go. Gonna take this enemy out, and now we got snipers to deal with. We can snipe them back using our set Inkzooka, so I'm not really too worried here. But we can also use a bomb. Take them out immediately. Easy as that. Looks like that said platform is where we need to be, as that's where launchpad is. Oops. Perfectly fine. Just climb back up, and we're good to go here. Go ahead and paint this set square, being very careful to move with the motions here and not actually fall right off, which definitely done that in the past. Here, I'm gonna go ahead, get more ink up this square to flip another platform, and now we can go ahead and continue forward. I'm gonna take care of this enemy first. And this wall is really awkward to ink up using the set roller. I remember when I first played through these challenges back in 2015, when I first got my set of Splatoon Amiibo, that this was one of the more awkward levels to play through, just because of the range issue with the set roller. Not to say that it's a hard level per se, but it definitely was a little bit more awkward due to some range issues here. But thankfully, this is why we kept our said Inkzooka here, so we can just attack things using this. And that made quick work for most of the enemies here in the area. Now we can just take out the last one here, and now we don't have to worry about any more enemies. At this point, we can just go straight to our said vault and get out of here. We do have a bubble special there in a can, but I'm not going to bother with the bubble. I just want to lure this flutter over to where I'm located so I can actually make this set jump. And now we can head to the ending. So I'm just going to fling over where the shield is, pop out the Zapfish, and with that, that is Splat Switch Revolution complete. For beating Splat Switch Revolution, we get ourselves 1,800 gold, which is a lot of gold if you ask me. But let's move on now to our next level, level 24, Pinwheel Power Plant. Slip through defenses. So just like the subtitle says, we can slip through these fences. Get it? These fences? Like these fences? Please laugh. I swear. I made a funny. It's the game trying to make it funny, so I'm piggybacking off the funny. No one's laughing. I can already feel it. I'm just gonna grab myself some eggs from over in the corner. Let's just move on. Puns aside, this level here really isn't all that bad with the roller. And in fact, right away, we don't need to use the roller for too much longer here, because we got ourselves a section coming up here where they'll give us an Inkzooka special. So we can use that to cover some of our bases here. And I'm going to right now, just because one of these enemies has a shield, and I do not want to be dealing with that said shield. So take him out immediately, paint up the area here before we run out of the special, and now we can easily make our way through the next section here. Climb up the wall, take this ink rail, and move on to our next section. Here's a checkpoint. Fall down below and easily ink up this wall. Unfortunately, it takes a little bit of time to ink things here with the rollers, we can see. Out of the weapons that we've been using so far for single player, between the hero splatter shot, the hero charger, the hero roller, this is definitely one of the more awkward ones for some of the levels just because of speed alone. But also range, as I keep on saying, in almost every single level. It keeps on coming up in almost every level. It's like all these levels were designed more for the hero shot than anything else or something. And it's good that we had armor, because that just got shredded. Let's see if I can hit these said balloons from here. And fortunately, yes we can. We just barely reach. I'm actually surprised I was able to reach, because I didn't think that would. Go ahead, fall down below here. I'm just gonna be careful. I'm gonna wait out this rotation because there's no way I'm making this if I try to go too fast. I'll definitely fall into the pit and die immediately. So let's not have that happen. Gonna wait for this platform to rotate up, climb up to the very top here. And now let's take our launch pad and go to our final checkpoint area. And with this area, we got moving floors now to deal with as well. So again, patience is a virtue here in this stage. Don't want to rush things too much as that could cause some serious problems. Just wait things out here, ink the floor, up around these platforms, and be very careful here not to let any enemies or any moving platforms beat a death of me here, because that is definitely a possibility, and we don't want that to happen. I'm gonna ink up this floor area here and just be ready to make my way to the top as we're coming up here to the very end. And obviously, range is always a problem, but I can just barely climb up. Thankfully, by just jumping constantly on a wall, you are painting ever so slightly above you. So use that to your advantage and climb up to the top of Pinwheel Power Plant to finish the level. With Pinwheel Power Plant completed, we got ourselves 1,900 gold. A good chunk of change. Let's go ahead and move on to our last level here, level 26, Octoling Assault. Rumble at the Rig. Ah, Salt Spray Rig. Now you were a very weird design map looking back in hindsight. There's just sections of the map you just never go to in certain modes. That whole backside section where we need to go for the said Zapfish. Why would you go there in almost every other mode in the game? I mean, really, the only mode that was pretty useful for outside of Turf War was probably Rainmaker, and that's just a stall. Like, once you got a lead and the Rainmaker went back to the center, you can just chill out in the very back section of Salt Spray Rig here and just spam the Rainmaker, and then there you go. You can just win the game from that. So, a weird design map when you really look back at it, and you can kind of see why that this map has stayed in Splatoon 1, at least at the time of recording this, because by the time you guys are going to be getting this series, we are in the fresh season 2024 of Splatoon 3, and this map has not been featured in any game since the first Splatoon. So, while we have a lot of the Splatoon 1 maps now returning in some fashion, there's only 2 maps that have not returned at the time of filming this video, which has been Urchin Underpass and Salt Spray Rig. Both of these maps are Splatoon 1 exclusive, and when you see this map, you can understand why. Urchin Underpass, on the other hand, I can see that coming back at some point in Splatoon's lifespan, because that is a pretty solid stage. May need some changes here and there to accommodate some of the newer designs, but other than that, it's still a pretty well-designed stage in my honest opinion, and I can see it working in later games. So, hopefully we'll see that stage come back at some point. It was brought back in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a battle stage for its said battle mode, so it can come back. I mean, it appeared in a different game of all things, so while it didn't appear in Splatoon 2 or Splatoon 3 at the time of filming this, it's possible for it to maybe come in Splatoon 3, or if not in 3, a possible Splatoon 4. We don't know. But for now, that is it for the Octoling Assault, and our final level here with the Hero Roller Replica. For completing the Octo Valley Assault, we get ourselves 2,000 gold. A good amount of money. But let's go ahead now and fight the final boss once again. Let's finish this. Enter the Autobot King. Help, DJ Octavio, escape while I was eating my Krabby Cakes again. Gosh, Gramps, stop getting kidnapped. I don't care about the story at this point. We're just skipping along because we're gonna be fighting this guy not one more time, but 2 more times. So I kinda wanna get a move on. And this fight, it's gonna take a while with the roller. I do feel like when we fought this guy using the Hero Charger, we didn't have that many issues. The biggest problem with that weapon was the charge time, sometimes making things a little bit harder when it came to attacking things very fast. But with the roller, we have to wait until things are right up against our face. So it's gonna be a little bit more risky here to attack enemies and even the fist back at DJ Octavio, as we need to wait until it's almost right on top of us. But we can still manage to fight this guy. It's just gonna be a lot harder using a roller. This is once again when I really would wish that we had vertical flicks in Splatoon 1, but sadly that didn't come until 2 years later with Splatoon 2. So we'll just have to get up close and personal here with DJ Octavio's attacks, being careful in the process, but we're gonna have to get up close and personal just to reach his set fists and his hater shade ball. Slimy little hipster, back to you. Let's go ahead and get ready here for our next phase when he introduces the Killer Whale. Speaking of that special, I feel like this is probably a good time just to kind of talk about whatever else, because let's be honest here, this boss is going to take a while, and there's nothing we can do to really speed it out outside of not miss any of our attacks, so hopefully we don't miss any more of the fists. But the Killer Whale is an interesting special in the history of Splatoon, as that special is really the only one that has appeared in all 3 Splatoon games. As the Killer Whale appears in Splatoon 1, obviously, as a proper special you can use in the multiplayer mode, along with DJ Octavio using it to attack you here in single player. In Splatoon 2, we see the Killer Whale used in Octo expansion along with the Shifty Station stage designed for the Final Fest, which was the final Splatfest of Splatoon 2. And Splatoon 3, Killer Whale made its return once again as a reworked special known as Killer Whale 5.1. So, Killer Whale is like the one special in Splatoon that they love bringing back, as that special has been featured in all 3 games in some form or fashion, which is very interesting to know that it's specifically Killer Whale that they keep on bringing back. You would think it might be one of the other specials, like say with Bubbler, as we have Big Bubbler in Splatoon 3, but we have Ink Armor in Splatoon 2, which was a similar concept but not the same thing. So, some specials might as well mimic others, but they're not the exact same between games, unlike Killer Whale. Outside of, a very specific difference where, Killer Whale 5.1 is a bunch of different Killer Whale lasers going off all at once instead of one giant beam. In Splatoon 2, you couldn't use the Killer Whale directly. It was a thing that was either used in a cutscene or something you interacted with on a specific multiplayer map. So, while Killer Whale might have been featured in the sequel, it wasn't a thing the player had direct control over, unlike Splatoon 1 and even Splatoon 3. So, interesting little tidbit of knowledge here to share as we're fighting DJ Octavio again, as this is the one time we really get to see Killer Whale all the time outside of just playing in the multiplayer mode, which is sad to see no longer available at the time of this video going live here on YouTube, as now the servers are fully shut down for both the Wii U and the 3DS family of systems. Really does suck to see when these said online servers do get shut down by big companies, as I remember when they shut down the Wii and the DS servers, when that happened, which was at this point 10 years ago, as those servers shut down in 2014. Those I definitely felt were a lot worse to shut down at the time, as the Wii and the DS both had systems that still played them at the time of the shutdown. And I don't just mean the systems that they were shutting down. The Wii U was backwards compatible with Wii games, and the 3DS was backwards compatible with DS games. So at that time, shutting down the Wii and the DS servers didn't really make any sense, as you had systems out there that were still playing those games online. They just pulled the plug so they can save on some money and operation costs, which I do understand, especially when tech gets older. It becomes harder and harder to maintain, so not only is the cost getting more expensive over the years, but finding people with the knowledge to maintain those kind of servers gets harder and harder as well. So I understand it, but it always sucks to see, because that's a piece of video game history you just lose when online servers get shut down. And with the Wii U and 3DS, there's no way to play these games outside of those set systems or any kind of ports they might have had outside of their original runtime. So things like, say, a Switch port for a lot of the Wii U titles, or maybe even some multi-platform ports for Wii U and 3DS games. That's the only way you're playing a lot of these games online nowadays, if they had an online component after the network shut down for the Wii U and 3DS. It's only if they were on other systems after the fact, which wasn't always the case. So that's a little sad, but again, it's just how things go. It gets harder and harder to operate these systems over time. I do understand, but it's always sad to see. At least we have fan servers to mend these kind of issues. I mean, there's a big install base still on the Nintendo Wii years after that got shut down, with something like the homebrew scene with Homebrew Channel, and even more simplistic mods just to play online again, like Wi-Fi, which essentially just puts you right back online without even needing to use any modifications to your system. You just change some DNS numbers and boom, you're playing online again, which is extremely easy to do, and anyone can do it even on an unmodified system. But with something like the Wii U and 3DS, I understand making fan-made servers a lot more complicated, which is why the fan-made servers have not been ready to go by the time the online infrastructure shuts down. Pretendo is the online fan servers people are working on, which will help mitigate the shutdown issues, but unfortunately, they still need time to develop, at least at the time of recording this. Hopefully that will change at a very later date. So a game like this, you'll never be able to play online again officially. You have to play its sequels if you want to play Splatoon, which, to be fair, I've said this countless times already, you play the sequels if you do want to play Splatoon. As going back to Splatoon 1, it's fun to do as a novelty's sake, but it's a very unbalanced game, and also it's much harder to find games back in Splatoon 1, even when servers were around, as the player base over time became smaller and smaller as time went on. So it just becomes harder and harder to find games to play with people. So that was another factor you had to worry about, even during the online heyday here of Wii U and 3DS, because after a while, people move on. And with the Wii U already having such a small install base as it was, that makes things even more complicated to play a game online. And the whole time me rambling about online, it is next to impossible to hit Octavio here. Because again, with the timing, we need to be up close and personal with Octavio's attacks, which is not the easiest thing to do. Especially when he gets faster and faster here, as you're seeing. You have very little time to react, very small room for error here, while at the same time, you can't miss your shots because you just won't do enough damage. While we can use our Inkzuka here, I am saving this for the final phases. We're definitely gonna need it for the final fight. So, right now, I could get away with some of these errors, but just barely. Gotta wait one more time here. This is a very drawn-out fight with a roller, and honestly, to review this fight now with this specific weapon, yeah, don't play this with the roller unless you really want to beat this kind of challenge. Like, once you get it complete and unlock your reward from this, there's no reason to do this ever again. I really do not care for fighting DJ Octavio with such a short-range weapon like the roller. because it makes things so much more awkward. It's not impossible, but it's not fun either. Final checkpoint. We're nearing the end of the fight at this point. Just got a couple more attacks to dodge, some more fists to knock back here, and then we'll finally be done with the said fight. Unfortunately, I missed one of my flicks, so dragged out a little bit longer here. Got some armor, which I'm not going to be using, so probably shouldn't have activated it, but here we are. Just going to wait out that killer whale, jump off the ink rail, which is good to know that that gives you more height, as you can use that to your advantage to dodge some of the enemy attacks. Wait for these fists to come out right before it gets to me, use that said flick, and do your damage. Got ourselves a bubbler over here on the right if you need that said shield, but I'd rather keep my Inkzooka here. Take out the enemies spawning in, trying to take out these octo balls before they land on the said ground, because hey, they could spawn an octo ball enemy for all we know. But I want to take out the enemies before they land. Fortunately, missed one of the fists there because I'm focused more on dodging than the actual attacks, but that's okay. I can survive here. Got ourselves another piece of armor, which is probably going to be really helpful later on. I can already feel it now. Take out these said enemies along with all these projectiles. Do the same song and dance at this point. Octavio's a lot more aggressive when it comes to the killer whales now, which is definitely not helping when it comes to our spacing here. It's making things a lot more awkward. So, gotta be careful here, as now we're into that final section. And when Captain Cuttlefish is saying just a little further, he's basically at the edge here. DJ Octavio doesn't have much time left before he's defeated. So, let's just dodge all of the enemy attacks, take out his fists one more time here, and now we're ready for the final set of hits. I'ma dub stomp you into oblivion! Like to see you try. Use ourselves our Inkzooka here to take out the final set of hits, and unfortunately we missed one of them because we barely ran out. Dude, that is like almost frame perfect. How am I not surprised? This is the problem I have with the fight coming into full fruition now. We have to play the final set of hits with the roller. That's gonna be interesting. So let's do this one more time. 1, 2, and final hit incoming. Later, final hit later. See how early I activated the fling? This fight is really not designed for the roller. It's not that bad with the charger. In fact, way easier with that weapon in some cases. It is definitely designed for the hero shot, as trying to use anything else, as we're seeing, makes things a little more complicated. But then you get to the roller and it's basically impossible. Come on, buddy, launch your set attack one final time. Can't be distracted too much by enemies, but at the same time, we do have to be ready to attack these guys to get them out of our way. But there you go. That was the final hit. And now, we just gotta fling him one last time. Not again. So sad. Crossfade to black. Talk about an awkward fight. Man, that's definitely our worst Octavio performance yet. But hey, it's finally done. And now, that is DJ Octavio defeated with the Hero Roller. For beating DJ Octavio here, we unlocked the Hero Roller replica. So now, we can take this roller into the multiplayer mode. So I'm pretty sure Sheldon would be very excited to see this blueprint. So let's go over to Ambonites right now and share it with him, because he'll definitely want to make this into a new weapon. So let's pay Sheldon a visit. Hello, oh, I'm afraid you're offline right now. Come back when you're connected to the internet. I completely forgot. After having a conversation about how the online is no longer active, that the online is no longer active. Well, I don't think Sheldon's gonna be able to help us out, so we might need to take an alternative method once again just to see how that Hero Roller replica plays out in multiplayer games. Man, it's really convenient that we have a time machine that takes us back in time right before Nintendo turns off the servers for the Wii U, as this gives us some opportunities to play with our hero weapons here that we get after beating all those set Amiibo challenges. So we can play some Turf War, and we can also play ourselves some Splat Zones, and I'm gonna opt to play some Splat Zones here with our said roller. But before we do so, I do want to show my equipment here, as I am using the samurai gear we unlocked from beating those said challenges earlier on with the Inkling Boy Amiibo. And this gear has damage up on its primary here for the samurai helmet with some quick respawn, bomb range up, and more damage up. The samurai jacket has special charge up as primary with some damage up, Ink Maiden Saver, and special saver on it. And then the samurai shoes has special duration up with damage up, ink recovery up, and special charge up as its subs. And as for our roller, we're using the Hero Roller replica here, which has Suction Bomb as its bomb type and the Killer Whale as its special, with special depletion set at light. So now with this weapon in hand along with our gear, let's go ahead and jump into a game of Splat Zones. All right, here we are on Port Mackerel, ready to play some Splat Zones. I was kind of hoping not to get this map because it's a weird one with Splat Zones back in Splatoon 1. The zones are in some really terrible spots. One here at your side of the base and one at the opposing side. So that's not great, but we do have Killer Whale to help with that. So during some of the hallway sections, we can use our Killer Whale to ambush some of these enemies, which is going to be really important. So we're going to want to be very careful here, and we're going to be doing a lot of sub-strengthening, which is something I haven't really gotten a great chance to talk about at this point. But you've been seeing me do that a lot here throughout all these Amiibo challenges so far. Sub-strengthening is just holding down your bomb and then moving back and forth while coming out of your ink. This allows you to move immediately to the other direction, which makes things a lot easier when it comes to repositioning yourself on a dime when it comes to movement here. It's a very crucial movement mechanic that you'll see a lot of top players utilize between all of the Splatoon games, as this kind of mechanic started here in Splatoon 1, but still exists all the way into Splatoon 3, even with the brand new squid roll mechanic, which is kind of similar to using sub-strafing, but not really. Squid rolling in Splatoon 3 has you roll out of the way with some armor frames, but it's still faster and sometimes even more reliable to just do some sub-strafing instead of using the said squid roll. As squid rolling, at least in Splatoon 3's case, sometimes can actually put you in more danger than help you get out of it. So there are still merits to using either or in Splatoon 3, but back in Splatoon 1, all you could do is just swim around here, so no easy way of turning on the dime. So, sub-strafing it is, and not all bomb types let you sub-strafe in Splatoon 1. Specifically, things like the Seekers and Ink Mines you could not sub-strafe with, so that made things a little bit more awkward if you wanted to use those kind of weapons that had those said subs. But thankfully in Splatoon 2 onwards, all of the sub-weapons let you do this said mechanic, as originally sub-strafing was a glitch actually in Splatoon 1. But because of how popular of mechanic sub-strafing became, this became a proper mechanic in Splatoon and not just a glitch. So it's nice to see that the devs not only acknowledge a glitch, but made a mainstaying component to Splatoon, and just is now a part of your overall movement arsenal here, which is great. But now talking about the game here a bit, we're doing pretty good as we do have a lead, but 72 to 100 isn't the biggest lead. It's just really hard to get back over to the other zone. This enemy team is doing a great job at keeping their home base locked down, but if they get our side here soon, then they will take control and will be hit with a penalty, which we don't want. So At this point, I'm just trying to protect our side. They do have a Dynamo Roller, which is using Echolocator as their special, so that is making us very well aware to the enemy team here, and that is kind of a problem. So we want to be very careful. I'm going to aim my Killer Whale towards their zone to try to pressure people back. Hopefully my team can take advantage of the said pressure and move in. At this point, I'm just kind of sticking around our zone just to make sure things are okay. Look at the map. Looks like we are taking over their zone, and now we can start pushing in, which is fantastic. Go ahead, attack the enemies around here. Took out the Dynamo, but looks like their E-Leader got away. So hopefully my team can take care of the E-Leader. Gonna jump back in right into the middle of the map here, as this seems one of the safer spots to go. Gotta be really careful because I do not have stealth jump, so enemies can easily see where I jump in, so definitely want to be careful about that. We have a Kraken on standby here, so that's gonna really help our sake. Have a teammate just swim around with Kraken, but we have a Luna Blaster attacking in. I'm gonna Booyah to signify that there's a problem over there, as this game does not have ouch as a said call out for when you die. So due to this, you have to use your callouts a lot more strategically in Splatoon 1, as Come On really just is used as a signal to tell people to move forward, but when you die, Come On doesn't do anything. Booyah, on the other hand, will do something when you're alive and when you're dead. So using a combination of Booyah to signify when to do certain objectives and also to let people know when there's an enemy nearby is key in Splatoon 1. Careful here because I don't want to lose the zone and then immediately lose the zone because a tempered Dynamo Roller is on my rear end. Now I know which one it was because during all the promotion I couldn't tell. I just knew it was a Dynamo. I couldn't tell if it was a tempered or not. But we're at the last 10 seconds here, so at this point we just want to defend. We got enough points to win the game. We just got to be very careful here and make sure they don't take over the zone. And now we took our zone back, meaning that there is no chance for overtime winning us the game. A pretty back and forth game, and honestly, I'm not surprised there's no knockout here, as getting a knockout in Port Mackerel Splat Zones in Splatoon 1 is so rare, you have a better chance at winning the lottery. It's such a hard thing to do, but we managed to at least win the game, and we won it strong. So, 10 kills, 9 deaths, not bad. Even some more points to my overall ranking, and with that, we are done with our time here with the Hero Roller replica. So, with that all said, that is the final thing that we wanted to go ahead and do here when it comes to our Inkling Boy Amiibo. As now, not only did we complete all his challenges, but we also got to use not only the gear, but the weapon that we got from our said Amiibo. And now, there's only one more Amiibo left, the Squid Amiibo. We'll be taking a look at the Squid Amiibo set of challenges in the next episode. Next time on Let's Play Splatoon, we'll start playing through the challenges via the Inkling Squid Amiibo. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.